Morning, how are you all doing? It's lovely and sunny in Gloucester. Just waiting for this system to do its thing. But I thought I'd do a quick video regarding running jobs on site side, not in the office side, and just share my experiences doing it. It's not something I do as much anymore, but if you're fairly newly qualified, or you're on your own now, and you're doing more that sort of thing, or you've been pushed into it. I mean, there's a lot of engineers I know that just do not like doing it. It's not one of their thing. I mean, fair play to you. It's not for everybody. Some people really enjoy the challenge of it, and see it as a progression thing. I mean, I got pushed out onto it when I was quite young, so I was probably about 21 when I was starting to do my own jobs and stuff like that, fairly big jobs. The biggest thing I ran into was other trades and site managers, because you're so young, don't really think you know what you're talking about, and that can be a bit of a challenge at times. But it's just something you'll get through. So I just wanted to share some things that I've done that might be helpful. I'm sure a lot of you already know this, but it's always sometimes good to get other people's perspective and see how they do things. Things I would always look out for when running jobs is understanding that depending on the size of the job, there might be times where you don't ever pick any tools, and I used to really worry that jobs would fall behind because I'm not actually installing stuff like that. You might have a few guys that are installing, but some jobs, depending on the size, I won't pick up a tool for weeks and weeks, or I get everything ready to start bracing up branch boxes, and then I get called to have a look at something else, and then you've not done anything all day. So not really to worry about that. The other thing is it's sort of the least amount of headaches for your office, the better. So any problems on site, you want to try and resolve to the best of your ability before you then start ringing the office and go, I'm really struggling. Never think you can't ring the office or speak to other people for help, but it really does help if you're not ringing the office for silly little things like, how am I going to get past this ductwork? What should I do in this instance? Try and resolve those things if possible on site. The other things with ordering materials, what you don't really want to be doing is every 2 days ringing up the office, go, I need this. So I briefly mentioned this before. Ideally, depending on the size of the job, you want most, if not all, your materials, or a good idea of a good chunk, to reduce the amount of time you're ordering stuff. Also, this does bear in mind of obviously where you can store materials. Obviously, you can't order too much stuff and have nowhere to put it. But it's things like, you've always got to be thinking a week ahead, what work you've got coming up a week ahead. So what materials you've got for that week, what you got work-wise if anybody's working with you, when you can get kit delivered. If you've got nowhere to put your outdoors and your outdoors not ready, then it's probably not a good time to get that stuff sooner, but you've got all your indoors. So it's working out. Always planning, you're always thinking the next step, which can be difficult when you're installing and you're focused on what you're doing. The other thing is, as I mentioned, is massive communication, importance of communication with other trades, sorting out electricians, whether it's retrofit applications or new construction. Always sort of have a good relationship with other trades, especially if there's duct fitters, because normally times out of 10 their big old ductwork's going to come right where your pipe is, so it's always good to get on, have a good working relationship with them and discuss problems and stuff like that, especially with also electricians and mechanical guys. Just keep communication of what you plan your routes up before, and especially if you're doing sort of VRVs, and to a lesser extent splits. So when I was working for a previous company, we used to get all the schematics for VRVs, but never had pipe lengths, only pipe sizes. So you just fit it, and not until much later. You can't do that. So because depending on your office might not work out pipe limitations on a drawing. They might just draw on some pretty little lines, and that's where they want the pipe work to go. that's not always the case, because you come out of limitations. So especially with VRVs, what you want to do is you want to work out where your route's going, draw it out, and then send those drawings back to the manufacturer, and they will go, yes, you're within the limitations, or you need to extend a certain amount of pipe and double back on yourself. So that's also important. So that's always something you've got to think about early on in the job. There's going to be plenty of things I've missed off here, but it's the main thing is trying to think a couple of steps ahead. And it is stressful. It's not, you're not going to get away with it. It is stressful. I remember on some big jobs I used to get eye twitch. It's one of the things when I used to get stressed, I never got angry or anything like that. I just used to get this constant twitch in my eye, and as soon as the job finished, it stopped. So it will affect you in different ways. Some people really struggle to go home, go to sleep, and it'll just be constantly playing on the mind. Good thing is to do is if you're working with people, just talk with the job. Some people find it's easier to tell other people, maybe you're working with, exactly what you're going to do, and it's not necessarily you telling them what the plan is. It's just reinforcing it in your mind of, right, we're going to do like this. It's also always take advice from people, even if it's apprentices sometimes, because they'll come up with a better idea because you're used to doing it a certain way, or sometimes just a different idea. So don't be afraid to ask suggestions from other people. But yeah, that's sort of my take on it, really. It's not something I do as much, but it's my real things is communication, always trying to think one step ahead and of where things are going to go and where you can avoid interruptions in the flow of work, and also try and create less of a headache for your office. I mean, that can sound a bit sort of suck up, but in my cases, I only ever want to speak to the office if something's massively important that needs sorting, or there's something I can't resolve myself. But yeah, that's all I can really think of it, really. Might be helpful. Why not? Enjoy your day, guys. Bye bye.